On a quiet morning at a roadside coffee stand, the rumble of engines shattered the tranquility. Two bikers, fueled by adrenaline and a love for the open road, pulled in for a quick pit stop. Little did they know, their casual break would turn into a pulse-pounding encounter with a seasoned veteran. As they ordered their coffee, a grizzled figure in a worn-out jacket caught their eye. A man exuding an air of quiet strength and undeniable experience. Curiosity piqued, the bikers struck up a conversation, unaware of the tension brewing beneath the surface. What starts as a friendly exchange soon takes an unexpected turn, revealing layers of past conflicts and simmering rivalries. Stay tuned as this chance meeting unfolds, setting the stage for a showdown that neither party saw coming. The veteran, a man of few words, sipped his coffee and watched the bikers with a steady gaze. His jacket bore faded patches and insignias, hints of a history that most wouldn't notice, but these bikers did. One of them, a younger rider with an edgy demeanor, leaned in and asked, "What's the story behind that patch, old-timer?" The veteran's eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he set his coffee down carefully and replied in a calm, measured voice, "It's not just a patch. It's a life lived. You wouldn't understand." The comment struck a nerve. The bikers exchanged glances, their pride pushing them to press further. But the veteran remained unshaken, his presence commanding respect without effort. Who was this man, and why did his quiet confidence unsettle them so deeply? The younger biker smirked, leaning on the counter as if to challenge the veteran's calm demeanor. "We've seen our share of rough roads too. What makes your life so special?" he said, his tone just shy of disrespectful. The older man didn't respond immediately, his weathered face betraying no emotion. Instead, he glanced at the biker's leather jacket, noting the shiny new patches that hadn't yet seen real wear. "You've seen roads," the veteran said finally, his voice low and steady. "But have you seen what happens when the road disappears? When it's just you and the unknown, and nothing but grit keeps you standing?" The tension thickened, drawing the attention of the stand's barista and a few curious onlookers. The veteran's words carried a weight the bikers couldn't ignore, but the younger one wasn't ready to back down. The younger biker straightened, his smirk fading as the veteran's words sank in. His riding partner, an older, more seasoned man, shifted uneasily, sensing the weight of the moment. "All right, old man," the younger one said, his voice sharper now. "If you're so tough, why don't you prove it?" The veteran's expression didn't change, but his eyes flickered with something hard to define: pain, pride, maybe even defiance. He stood slowly, his movements deliberate, and turned to face the bikers fully. "Prove what?" he asked quietly, his voice calm but edged with steel. "That I've walked paths you'll never dare to tread, or that you're picking a fight you're not ready to finish." The crowd at the coffee stand was silent, watching the standoff with bated breath. The bikers weren't sure if they'd bitten off more than they could chew, but it was too late to turn back now. The tension was palpable as the veteran took a slow step forward, his boots crunching on the gravel beneath him. Just as the younger biker was about to retort, the older rider placed a firm hand on his shoulder, signaling him to stand down. "Careful," he muttered, his voice low but urgent. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The younger biker brushed him off, unwilling to backpedal in front of the growing crowd. "He's just another tough guy with a story," he scoffed. But the veteran, unfazed, reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small battered medal. Its edges were worn, but the insignia was unmistakable, a mark of valor. Gasps rippled through the onlookers as they recognized its significance. The veteran's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "This isn't about proving anything. But if you really want to test your mettle, I suggest you think long and hard about what you're risking." The younger biker hesitated for the first time, his bravado faltering. Before anyone could speak, the veteran turned to the older rider. "You know, don't you?" he said quietly. The biker nodded grimly, his face pale. Whatever unspoken truth lay between them, it was clear this encounter wasn't just about words anymore. The younger biker clenched his fists, torn between pride and an unsettling realization that he might be in over his head. The veteran stood firm, his calm presence more intimidating than any loud threat. Before the younger man could act, the older biker stepped forward, his voice steady but tinged with respect. "We didn't come here looking for trouble," he said, addressing the veteran. "But clearly you've earned the right to speak your piece. Let's end this here." The veteran regarded him for a long moment before giving a slight nod. "Smart man," he said. But just as the tension seemed to dissipate, the younger biker scoffed loudly, his bravado flaring up once more. "So that's it. You're just gonna let him walk away?" Without missing a beat, the veteran fixed him with a steely gaze. "Walk away? Son, I never had to start. You're the ones playing a game you don't understand." He tossed the medal onto the coffee stand counter, where it landed with a solid clink. The younger biker's eyes widened as he finally recognized the symbol, a reminder of sacrifices he couldn't begin to imagine. The crowd watched in silence as the veteran turned and walked away, his steps steady and unhurried. Just before he disappeared from view, he called back over his shoulder, "Sometimes the hardest bites are the ones you don't pick." The bikers stood frozen, the weight of the encounter hanging heavy in the air. And as the younger rider looked down at the medal, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just been taught a lesson he'd never forget. As the veteran disappeared down the road, the coffee stand seemed to exhale, the tension lifting like a fog. The younger biker stared at the medal on the counter, its weight far greater than its size. He didn't say a word, his bravado replaced by a quiet reflection that even he didn't fully understand. The older biker picked up the medal carefully, turning it over in his hands before placing it back on the counter. "He didn't need to prove anything," he said softly. "Sometimes the loudest lessons come from the quietest people." The bikers mounted their bikes and rode off, the younger one uncharacteristically silent, his thoughts clearly miles away. Back at the stand, the barista shook her head with a small smile. "Some lessons," she muttered, "you only learn the hard way."